Does it hurt you that she's around your children?
It does not hurt me, no. More than anything, I go into protective mode. Like, I'm never going to trust someone who adored my family setup so much that they work their ass to come between it. Of course, with the help of him, but still.
Hey, our children are perfectly fine.
Like I said, for me, knowing that they are around someone who has said such nasty and vile things about their mother,
people on your
and
end,
about,
when all those babysitters that you
and,
had,
sorry, and about
11
their,
babies,
and about
11
their father
babysitters,
even, who said multiple things
you know
about
what
their
I'm saying?
father.
11
See how
babies,
he
I can
defends
no,
her?
because I
He's
can only
bringing up something
imagine all
directly
those
at me when I'm
babysitters that
talking
you had,
about a
you know?
person who has for years, as he knows, tried to torture and come in between our marriage, DMing me. See, he knows all of those things, and I could keep going. So when he sits there and tries to defend, how dare you?
Carlos King is finally speaking up, and trust me when I say that he is not holding back. After months of speculation, dodging questions, and keeping quiet while the drama unfolded, the reality TV king is finally telling the world how he feels about Martell's actions. The love and marriage. Huntsville fandom is being upended by his disclosure. You already know how complicated Martell and Melody's relationship has been if you've been following along. Their on-screen marriage culminated in a contentious and well-publicized divorce after Martell was discovered to have cheated. Just as fans thought the chaos was over, things got worse. Personal information was exposed, charges were made, and viewers have been pointing out a pattern of toxic behavior for years. But what's remarkable is that Carlos King isn't your average producer of reality TV. He is the inspiration behind Love and Marriage. Huntsville, the person who brought this group together, and the one who has been there for every moment of this drama. When he finally decided to discuss Martell and how he's been handling the situation, you could sense that things were about to become serious. Why is the Love and Marriage community incredulous about what Carlos actually said? Let's begin.
Life is good, God is good, okay? So, you missed the other live earlier. I need a bag. I had to. So in real life, I always call Marlo, okay? I always call Marlo when I'm out shopping because she is my person. So, you know, y'all get a chance to see who I am in my real life. Not stuff you hear about.
For months, fans had waited for Carlos to speak up, but he never did. As the executive producer and host of Love and Marriage, Huntsville's reunion specials, Carlos was bound by strict contractual obligations, such as avoiding promoting his personal opinions and remaining impartial during production. In the industry, it's standard procedure for reunion hosts, especially those with contacts behind the scenes, to promote discussion rather than take sides, but all that silence did was encourage fan speculation. Carlos has never shied away from taking on unpleasant reality TV situations, so fans were irritated that he wasn't critiquing Martell's behavior. Some suspected him of protecting Martell, while others said he was simply waiting for the right moment to show his genuine emotions, and now is the moment. Now that the reunion episodes have aired, Carlos is at last making his stance clear. He's speaking out about the nasty breakup between Martell and Melody. He's not going to back down or sidestep the subject any longer. He's not exactly backing Martell, to put it mildly.
Stop being the victim all the time.
Ooh,
it gets on my nerves.
So I heard everything Martell said, and then Martell said I'm playing the victim.
I wish one day people see the person that you really are. You throw all the damn stones and hide your hands and be the victim. Because when we start going through stuff, I told you weren't doing in the marriage.
To fully understand why this moment is so explosive, we need to travel back in time. Although Martell and Melody's divorce was already one of the most talked about on reality TV, things went too far because of Martell's alleged attempts to harm Melody's reputation after their split for years. Martell struggled to accept that his marriage was finished, and rather than moving on, he appeared determined to exact revenge on Melody for her split. He constantly ridiculed her parenting, made questionable comments about her personal life, and even tried to downplay his role in their strained relationship. But then, the situation grew much darker. When accusations of revenge porn surfaced, both cast members and fans were taken aback. Martell allegedly threatened to release graphic content involving Melody. The allegations were sufficient to spark controversy, even if it's unclear if he ever meant to execute the plan, or if he was just using it as leverage against her, having previously had to deal with Martell's public insults. Melody was reportedly furious. She managed the situation delicately, refusing to give Martell any more authority over the narrative. Supporters, however, hurried to her rescue and called his alleged actions disgusting and poisonous. Someone said, Martell is the quintessential bitter ex. He is doing all in his power to ruin Melody since she is happy without him. Another said, this man has the gall to cheat and ruin his family, yet he still feels like the victim. Melody should have peace, not this, even though things were already out of control. Carlos King's revelation of Martell's mindset was far more disturbing.
Listen, this show means a lot to Melissa in a very different way. I think, to your point, listen, I think any watches the show can see that Melissa wants to be the top dog. She has trouble with Teresa constantly winning in the end. I'll tell you, it was the season where Danielle Staub, one of my favorites.
Yes,
it was the season where Danielle Staub, you know, Melissa, like, Teresa told her. What I saw was this excitement, the tea. Like, well, she did what? And I think in Melissa's mind, she was like, oh, baby, it's going.
Carlos didn't merely respond. He provided invoices and a comprehensive psychological analysis. This was clearly more than just an angry ex-husband snapping when Dustin Ross and Martell sat down to talk about Martell's pattern of behavior. Because Martell has a tendency to exact retribution. Carlos was careful to break the ice. Entirely. One of the primary red flags, according to Carlos, was Martell's get-back attitude. Instead of taking responsibility for his mistakes, Martell often chooses to blame Melody, doing everything he can to make her seem as terrible as he does. This cycle of revenge is not only toxic, but also detrimental. It's the kind of behavior that prolongs arguments that should have been settled. Carlos's criticism of Martell was unrestrained, highlighting the seriousness of the issue and its fundamental control and ego concerns. However, Martell's choice to double down was the only thing that truly showed how utterly dysfunctional he is. Martell was presented with the facts and offered the opportunity to apologize, but he declined to do so or take any real responsibility. He brushed concerns aside, transferred blame, and continued to justify his actions. Did Martell have an opportunity to change his life? Carlos ended that right away. He made it clear that Martell's behavior is hurting not just his relationship with Melody, but also his reputation and general perception as a bad guy. Based on his response, Martell didn't seem all that disturbed about that, but wait, there's more to this story than revenge. Because what if Martell's primary issue isn't Melody? What if his resentment is actually directed at Marceau? Carlos discovered a fascinating discovery. Marriage and love. There has been a Freaky Friday shift in Huntsville. A few years ago, Martell was the man with a wife, a family, and a lucrative career who was at the top. Meanwhile, Marceau and Tisha were still trying to take their place, but now the roles are completely inverted. Notwithstanding their flaws, Marceau and Tisha are on the right track, their businesses are growing, and their marriage has held up well. In the meantime, Martell is struggling. His personal life is in shambles, his reputation is gradually declining, and his commercial undertakings have suffered. Is Martell secretly angry with Marceau for giving him back the life he lost? That was the first question Carlos asked. How would Martell respond? I'm not against them, but I'm also not in favor of them. What does that actually mean? Because, let's be honest, having to clarify that you're not cheering against someone says a lot. Let's analyze that.
Martell playing mind games, that's just what he does. Like showing up here today with these flowers, this smile on his face, like Prince. When we all know that he's responsible for all of the stuff happening on social media pertaining to me, that could change people's opinions about me, giving these false narratives. He's responsible for that.
At this point, things took an even stranger turn because Martell had no support from anyone on the platform. Both an intervention and an opportunity for reflection were provided by the reunion. Martell also had some hard reality checks, though he was called out one by the actors. Melody didn't really need to do anything now. She was exhausted from having to prove herself to Martell and the world. Instead of debating, she decided to take a back seat and let the facts speak for themselves. How about those facts? They were not helping Martell. It was interesting how Marceau and Tisha positioned themselves. They usually don't go straight after Martell, but they couldn't help but notice the huge hole he was digging for himself. Marceau made it clear that he would not have gone as far as Martell, despite his own issues. How about Tisha? In her own words, Martell is not only making bad choices, but he is persisting in doing so even after being given the opportunity to do better. However, the actors wasn't the only group to express their views. Fans had a lot to say too. The majority of people supported Melody, applauding her resilience and the way she handled Martell's antics. Meanwhile, Martell came under heavy fire. Viewers were not only unhappy with his actions but also fed up with him. Despite being the one who initiated the drama, he was often blamed for playing the victim, Carlos as well. He was very clear about where he stood. He didn't sugarcoat anything. By the time the reunion ended, it was evident how he really felt about Martell's behavior. Carlos summed it out like way. Martell is not just reckless, but also damaging to himself. With every deed, he appears to be moving more away from atonement. Which is the worst. He knows it. But instead of going in a different direction, he doubles down. One of the key findings of Carlos's inquiry was that Martell was completely incapable of taking responsibility. When he has a chance to think, he always chooses to deflect. He plays the blame game, allocates blame, and denies any involvement in his own death. And when Carlos stated what everyone already knew, that bad decisions aren't the only problem here, he didn't hold back. Here, there is a pattern beyond basic messy reality TV drama. Carlos thinks Martell's actions show a deeper flaw in his character that is impeding his emotional and professional growth. These days, it's not only about Melody, Marceau, or even the show. Martell is up against himself. What does this mean for Martell's future on love and marriage? Huntsville. Because if he keeps doing this, his days might be coming to an end. Given how many relationships Martell has ruined, it's hard to see a return at this point. He has been successful in driving away fans, alienating the actors, and even putting pressure on Carlos to step in, but whether he can ever change his life is the real question. Or has he finally gone too far? What do you think? Do you see a way forward? Or is this the last straw for Martell? Don't forget to subscribe and like, share your thoughts in the comments, and return soon for more tea.